Good morning. Before you touch your phone, before the noise of the world rushes in, before responsibilities, messages, and expectations start pulling at your attention, pause. Because what you're about to do in the next 60 minutes has the power to shape the next 24 hours. And not just today, but your entire life. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their minds. They scroll, they react, they rush. They start their day already behind. But the people who truly transform their lives, the ones who build success, discipline, clarity, and inner peace, they don't start their day by reacting. They start it by designing. The truth about mornings. Here's a simple truth most people ignore. The way you start your morning is the way you live your day. And the way you live your days becomes the way you live your life. Morning is not just a time. It's a psychological doorway, a reset button, a sacred window where your mind is most impressionable, your willpower is strongest, and distractions are at their lowest. But most people waste it. They trade clarity for chaos, focus for distraction, purpose for urgency. And then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed, stuck, or directionless. Why your morning routine is everything. A powerful morning routine is not about perfection. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. just to prove something. It's about intentionality. It's about choosing how your day begins, instead of letting the world choose it for you. Because when you take control of your morning, you take control of your mind. And when you take control of your mind, you take control of your life. Mental clarity, the first advantage. Think about this. The moment most people wake up, their brain is flooded. Notifications, messages, news, social media. Before they've even had a chance to think, they're already reacting. This creates mental noise, anxiety, pressure, confusion. But when you start your morning in silence, something powerful happens. You create space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to become aware. Even 5 minutes of stillness can completely change your state of mind. Because clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from pausing long enough to see clearly. The power of stillness. When you sit quietly in the morning, no phone, no distractions, you begin to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You notice your emotions without getting lost in them. And slowly, your mind becomes calmer, more focused, more grounded. This is where emotional strength begins, not in chaos, but in stillness. Discipline, built one morning at a time. Most people think discipline is something you need to force, but real discipline is built quietly, through small daily actions. Waking up when you said you would, making your bed, drinking water, moving your body. These actions seem small, but they send a powerful message to your brain. I follow through. And every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Your body sets your energy. You don't wake up with energy, you create it. Movement in the morning is not optional, it's essential. Because when you move your body, you activate your system. Your blood flows, your brain wakes up, your mood improves. Even 10 minutes, stretching, walking, a quick workout, it shifts you from tired to alive. And that energy carries into everything you do. Focus, the difference between busy and productive. Most people are busy, but very few are focused. Why? Because they never decide what actually matters. A powerful morning routine forces you to ask, what truly matters today? Not everything, just the important things. When you write down your top priorities, you create direction. And direction eliminates overwhelm. Because stress doesn't come from having too much to do, it comes from not knowing what to focus on. Intention versus reaction. There are two ways to live your day: reaction or intention. Reaction is when your day is controlled by emails, messages, other people's demands. Intention is when your day is guided by your goals, your vision, your purpose. And that shift happens in the morning. Reprogramming your mind. Your brain has a filter. It's called the reticular activating system, and it decides what you notice and what you ignore. When you focus on your goals in the morning, you activate that filter. Suddenly, you start noticing opportunities, ideas, solutions. Not because they weren't there before, but because now your brain is looking for them. The compound effect of consistency. One powerful morning won't change your life, but repeated mornings will. Day after day, week after week, you build momentum. Your mind becomes clearer. Your body becomes stronger. Your focus becomes sharper. And slowly, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start becoming someone who does. Identity shift, the real transformation. This is the real goal, not just productivity, not just discipline, but identity. Instead of saying, I need to work on myself, you begin to say, this is who I am. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who is in control. And when your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally. Why most people fail. Let's be honest, most people won't do this, not because it's hard, but because it requires consistency. It requires showing up, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because success is not built on motivation, it's built on repetition. The first hour rule. If you win the first hour, you win the day. Because that first hour sets your energy, focus, mindset. It determines whether you move with purpose or drift through distractions. Building your routine. Your routine doesn't need to be complicated. Start simple. Wake up with intention. Sit in silence. Move your body. Write your priorities. Visualize your success. That's it. Consistency beats complexity. Every time. Emotional strength through routine. Life will always be unpredictable. Stress will come. Challenges will come. Difficult moments will come. But when your morning is strong, you are stronger. You respond instead of reacting. You stay grounded instead of overwhelmed. You carry a sense of control, even in chaos. From chaos to control. Most people feel like life is happening to them, but a morning routine flips that. You start creating your day instead of chasing it, and that shift changes everything. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you rush into the noise, pause. Remember this: you are not here to react to life. You are here to create it. And it begins in the quiet, in the stillness, in the first hour of your day. Win your morning, and you won't just change your day, you'll change your life. But here's something even deeper, something most people don't realize. A morning routine is not just about productivity. It's about who you become in the process. Because every morning, you are not just starting a day. You are casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Every morning is an identity decision. When you wake up and hit snooze, you're not just delaying your alarm, you're reinforcing hesitation. When you wake up and scroll endlessly, you're not just passing time, you're training your mind to seek distraction over direction. But when you wake up with intention, when you sit in silence, when you move your body, when you write your goals, you're doing something far more powerful than completing tasks. You are shaping identity. You are telling yourself, I am someone who leads my life, not follows it. And over time, those small decisions stop feeling like effort and start feeling like who you are. The invisible gap that changes everything. There is a small gap, a nearly invisible moment, between waking up and taking your first action. Most people lose their power in that gap because that's where habits take over. That's where unconscious behavior kicks in. That's where your default self decides what happens next. But if you can learn to control that moment, if you can pause, even for a few seconds, and choose your first action intentionally, you take back control. That single moment, repeated every day, becomes one of the most powerful transformations in your life. Why most people feel stuck. Have you ever felt like you're busy all day but still not moving forward? Like you're doing things but not progressing? That's not a time problem. It's a direction problem. Because movement without intention is just motion. And motion feels productive, but it leads nowhere. A powerful morning routine eliminates that. It aligns your actions with your direction, so every step you take actually moves you forward. Mental noise versus mental power. Your mind is like a room, and every day it fills up with thoughts, worries, unfinished conversations, stress, expectations. And if you never clean that room, it becomes cluttered, heavy, overwhelming. That's why so many people feel mentally exhausted before the day even begins. But a morning routine is mental cleaning. It's where you organize your thoughts, release emotional weight, and create clarity. And when your mind is clear, your decisions become stronger, your reactions become calmer, your focus becomes sharper. The war between comfort and growth. Every morning, you face a battle, comfort or growth. Comfort says, stay in bed, check your phone, do it later, take it easy. Growth says, get up, move, focus, show up. And here's the truth, that battle never goes away. Even the most successful people feel it. The difference is, they don't negotiate with comfort, they act anyway. You don't need motivation. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you'll feel driven, other days you won't. If your life depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. But discipline? Discipline shows up, even when you don't feel like it. And a morning routine is where discipline is built. Not in big moments, but in quiet, repeated actions. Silence, your most underrated advantage. In a world that is constantly loud, silence becomes power. Because silence allows you to hear yourself, your real thoughts, your real desires, your real direction. Most people avoid silence because it forces them to confront themselves. But that's exactly why you need it, because clarity doesn't come from noise, it comes from stillness. Building your internal foundation. Think of your life like a building. Your goals, your success, your achievements, they are the visible structure. But your morning routine, that's the foundation. And if your foundation is weak, everything above it becomes unstable. But if your foundation is strong, you can build anything on top of it. Strength, focus, confidence, resilience, all built before the world even wakes up. The energy shift. Notice how different your day feels when you start it right. You move differently, you think differently, you speak differently, because you're not reacting anymore. You're operating from a place of control, and people can feel that. Your presence changes, your confidence increases, your decisions become sharper, all from one simple shift: how you start your morning. Breaking the cycle. Most people live in cycles. Wake up tired, rush through the day, feel stressed, go to sleep late. Repeat, over and over again. But a morning routine breaks that cycle. It interrupts the pattern. It gives you a new starting point, a new rhythm, a new way of living. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence doesn't come from thinking positive. It comes from knowing what you're doing. And clarity creates that. When you know your priorities, when you know your direction, when you know your next step, you move with certainty. And certainty creates confidence. Small habits, massive transformation. Never underestimate small actions, because small actions, done consistently, create massive change. A few minutes of silence, a short workout, writing your goals. These things seem simple, but they compound, day after day, until one day you look back and realize you are not the same person anymore. Training your mind like a muscle. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it becomes weak, easily distracted, easily overwhelmed, easily controlled. But when you train it daily, through focus, discipline, and intention, it becomes stronger, more resilient, more powerful. And your morning routine is your daily training session. The difference between people who change and those who don't. Everyone wants change, but very few commit to the process, because the process is repetitive. It's not exciting every day, it's not glamorous, it's simple, consistent, disciplined action, and that's what most people avoid. But that's also where transformation lives. The door is always open. Every morning, you are given a choice, a new chance, a new beginning. The door is always there, but you have to walk through it. No one else can do it for you. So tomorrow, when your alarm goes off and your mind starts making excuses, remember this moment. Remember who you want to become. Remember the life you're building. And ask yourself one question. Am I going to live today by default or by design? Because at the end of the day, it's not about waking up early. It's not about routines. It's not about productivity. It's about ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your mind, ownership of your life. And that ownership begins the moment you wake up. So take control, be intentional, show up, win your morning, and you won't just change your day, you'll transform your future.